Recognize the pleasures that are going to lead you into darkness. And when you recognize the pleasures that are going to lead you into darkness, turn away from the pleasures. Turn away from those pleasures. You know they're going to lead you into darkness. The Old Testament, the New Testament, your life experience, you know that they're going to lead you into darkness. So turn away from those pleasures and turn towards the pleasures that build God's kingdom. Turn towards the pleasures that please God's heart. The pleasures that contribute to building God's kingdom. The pleasures that contribute to building God's family. The pleasures that lead to the pleasures that are not short-lived. The pleasures that are eternal. The pleasures that will fill you with the fullness of joy. The pleasures that are pursued for heavenly purposes. The pleasures that are pursued for heavenly purposes. The pleasures that are pursued for heavenly purposes. It is incredibly important that you understand Satan's plan for your life. Satan's plan for your life is that you follow your own sinful pleasures. Satan's plan for your life is that you spend your life following your own sinful pleasures. Pleasures that serve your own selfish purposes. And the irony is that you can spend your whole life trying to fulfill your own selfish pleasures that serve your own. You can spend your whole life trying to fulfill your own sinful pleasures that serve your own selfish purposes. You can spend your whole life trying to find fulfillment in these pleasures, and you never will. The pursuit of your own sinful pleasures will suck the life out of you. The pursuit of your own sinful pleasures will steal your strength, making you weak, making you dysfunctional. And when you are dysfunctional, you are on the road to destruction. And that is Satan's plan for your life. So you have to be wise. As the Lord said, be as gentle as doves, but be as shrewd as snakes. Be as gentle as doves. Be purposeful that the love of God in heaven is pouring into your heart. And the love of God will make your heart gentle. And the love of God will make your heart gentle. But also be purposeful to have the mind of Christ. To have the mind of Christ is to have the mind of the second Adam. The mind of the second Adam is wiser than the mind of the first Adam. The mind of the second Adam is wiser than the mind of the first Adam. The mind of the second Adam sees what the first Adam failed to see. The mind of the second Adam sees the deceit in the words that come from Satan. The mind of the second Adam sees the deceitfulness in the devil's words. The mind of the second Adam sees the great difference between God's words and the devil's words. The mind of Christ, the mind of the second Adam is not deceived by the devil's words, because the mind of Christ recognizes the difference between God's words and the devil's words. And when you recognize the difference, you will never be deceived. You need a heavenly presence. You need a heavenly presence. You need the Spirit from heaven to give you the mind of Christ, so that you see the difference between the devil's words and God's words. And when you see the difference, you will never be deceived. Satan wants us to pursue pleasure. Satan wants us to pursue power and pleasure. Satan wants us to pursue the pleasure of power, and the power of pleasure. That is what Satan wants us to pursue. The pleasure of power. The power to be your own God, to do whatever you want when you want it. Here he wants Jesus to pursue the power of pleasure. The greater the height, the greater the height, the greater the pleasure, the greater the height, the greater the pleasure. Power comes from God. Power comes from God, and pleasure comes from God. Power comes from God, and pleasure comes from God. The most satisfying pleasure we will ever experience will always come from God. We have to please the deeper part of our heart. The part of our heart, we only find satisfaction in the deeper part of our heart. We only find satisfaction in the deeper part of our heart. The part of our heart that resembles God's heart.